Tonight on Joy News Prime, Multimedia Group files formal complaint against Assin Central MP Kennedy Agyapong for threatening Erastus Asare Donkor, whose coverage of the Jura disturbances brought to light the issues at play in the Ashanti region town.
Seriously, it's so annoying. Some journalists answers Obama should beat the hell out of him. May a president be a guap boy with bad.
The Jura Probe Committee has meanwhile been sitting. We'll bring you details. Presidential spouses begin refund of allowances following public backlash over emolument committee recommendation for them to be paid salaries. Some members of the general public are, however, not impressed.
Like I already said, I don't have proof that that money has been returned. What is he doing that she can return how much? Almost $1 million, just like that.
But how is the First Lady raising the nearly 900,000 cedis being paid back to the state?
How did she raise 20 million or so to help support the mother and baby unit? If she didn't have capacity to raise those money, she wouldn't even have made those recommendations.
The minority, meanwhile, wants the Auditor General to probe the bank accounts of the presidential spouses. Also, in the bulletin, opposition NDC pushed for Chief Justice to step aside as they demand full-blown public inquiry into $5 million bribery allegation against him. And in business, World Bank signs agreement with Ghana to release $200 million as additional funding support for the fight against COVID-19. My name is Israel Lai, and Joy News Prime is coming to you live from our Founder Studios at Kokomilmi here in Accra on your digital terrestrial TV, because we're free to air, and also on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. This is the home of independent, fearless, credible, and impactful journalism. Stay tuned in. The Multimedia Group, operators of Joy News and other media outlets, has filed a formal complaint at the police CID asking for investigation and protection for its journalist Erastus Asare Donkor following threats issued by Assin Central MP Kennedy Agyapong against the life of the journalist. The company in the complaint cites the recent history of Kennedy Agyapong, chairman of Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee, who made similar threats against another journalist, Ahmed Suale, who was eventually killed. A number of institutions, including the Presidency, Parliament, National Security, and the IGP, have been copied in the complaint. I'll be sharing the full letter with you shortly, but I'll first bring you the remarks of Kennedy Agyapong against Erastus Asare Donkor.
Now, this boy should be beaten seriously. It's so annoying. Some journalists answers Obama should beat the hell out of him. May a president be a guap boy with bad.
So that was Assin Central MP Kennedy Agyapong. Let me now share the full letter from the Multimedia Group reacting to the comments. So it's addressed to the Deputy Regional Commander, Ghana Police Service, Ashanti Regional Police Headquarters, Edum Kumasi, and the attention of the Regional Crime Officer of the Ashanti Regional Police Headquarters, Edum Kumasi, is also drawn to the letter. Says, "Dear Sir, the attention of Multimedia Group Limited, MGL, and its journalist Erastus Asare Donkor has been drawn to life-threatening comments that Kennedy Ohene Agyapong, Member of Parliament for the Assin Central Constituency and the Chairman of the Defence and Interior Committee of Parliament, has made about Erastus Asare Donkor. Those comments were made on the Attitude program aired on July 9, 2021 on Net2 TV, the television station owned by Kennedy Ohene Agyapong, and the content of the program was streamed live and widely published on social media platforms. In the said video, a copy of which has been attached, the Honourable Member of Parliament has heard raining insults on Erastus Asare Donkor. Honourable Agyapong also called for the serious beating of Erastus Asare Donkor, asserted that we should beat the hell out of Erastus Asare Donkor, and threatened that if he, Honourable Agyapong, were the President of Ghana, he would have ensured that Erastus Asare Donkor is beaten mercilessly. Honourable Agyapong launched the above scathing attacks and threats on Erastus Asare Donkor's life because of the journalistic work that the latter undertook during the recent shootings and killing incident at Ejura and his appearance before the Kingsley Kumsing Committee investigating the incident. Sir, you may recall that sometime in the recent past, Honourable Agyapong issued similar threats against Ahmed Hussein Suale, who at the time had undertaken some journalistic works. Ahmed Hussein Swale was later horribly killed. The letter continues. And we're bringing you more on the rest of the letter in a bit. So, in the above circumstances, we wish to file this formal complaint of threat by Honorable Ejepong against the life of Erastus Asare Donkor and request that this complaint is investigated and Erastus Asare Donkor giving the required protection. Sir, having regard to the status of Honorable Kennedy Ohene Ejepong, the national security implications of the comments, and the lessons from the recent history of a similar comment, we are by copies of this letter informing the underlisted persons of the content herein. And I'll share with you the people who have been copied in the letter in a bit. We hope that the content of this letter will be given the urgent attention it deserves. Yours faithfully, and it is signed by the General Manager of Love FM and Insura FM, James Agla, and Kofi Edudonfe, who's the news editor at Love FM and Insura FM. And the following people have been copied: the Chief of Staff, Office of the President, the Speaker of Parliament, His Royal Majesty Otumfuo Tutu II Asante Hene through his Chief of Staff, the Ashanti Regional Minister, the Minister of National Security Ministries, the Minister of Interior, the Inspector General of Police, National Police Headquarters, the Director of CID, National Police Headquarters, the Executive Secretary, National Media Commission, Accra, the President, Ghana Journalists Association, Accra, the Country Director, Media Foundation for West Africa, Human Rights Watch, New York, USA, Committee to Protect Journalists, CPJ, New York, USA, International Federation of Journalists, IFJ, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice. Now, Dr. Kenneth Shigbe is a former media manager and now someone we can call a media activist. Thank you very much, Dr. Kenneth Shigbe, for making time to speak with us. Now, this is an issue which keeps coming up. What will it take to get such persons to stop these attacks on the media?
I think it's important that for all of us as a country to realize that these threats against journalists are virtually threats against our own freedom to be able to express, what is important to us. Because the Constitution in Chapter 12 asks journalists to hold leadership to account. And they cannot do that in an environment that is full of threats and attacks. And so it is important that this stops. And I'm happy the steps that multimedia have taken. So we hope that the police CID, the NMC, and all the various entities that have the power to be able to investigate this and ensure that the right things are done really would act. Because we are in a country of law. And, if even a journalist did anything wrong, fortunately for us, it was under the tenure of our current president as Attorney General that the criminal libel law was repealed. So there cannot even be criminal sanctions against a journalist, even if he did something wrong. And so for somebody to talk about beating, asking president if he was president to beat, it's definitely not acceptable. And we know what has happened in this country. Ahmed Swale is still on our mind. You don't need to be the person who would even go and carry out, this threat. But for people of influence like an honorable minister, honorable member of parliament, the words we speak carry a lot of influence. And so it cannot be said that the chairperson of such a powerful committee would be issuing threats on the media. And you see, he makes a very interesting point about the Rwanda example. And he forgets that in the Rwanda example, it was not just the media, it was politicians who use the media. And so this is one particular thing that we really need to look at. We need to look at this issue of politicians owning media stations and publishers owning media stations and, having overreaching influence on what happened. In the Rwanda example, and it will be important for him to go back and look at that. It was not journalists. It was exactly like him. People, politicians using the media to be able to do this. So for all of us, I'm hoping that the NMT will take this issue on. There is the individual and there's also the media house that allows its platforms to be used to threaten other people. And it's important for all of journalists to realize the fact that when these threats are issued against another journalist, we need to come together to ensure that this thing, that does not translate and, have the unfortunate thing that happened with Ahmed Twale also happening. So it is important, and I would say again, I'm happy the steps that multimedia has taken, and we should all push to ensure that there'll be a logical conclusion when somebody uses media to actually issue threats against another journalist.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, for making time to speak with us. And Dr. Ken Ashigbe, he is the president of the Chamber of Telecoms. But for this purposes of this conversation, I'm calling him a media activist. Of course, he's been a media manager on several media outlets. Now, lawyers for the Multimedia Group CEO and Joy FM have in the last hour also issued a letter to set the record straight about a supposed meeting with Kennedy Agyapong and other matters. Joining me in the studio right now is Daniel Dadzie, who has a copy of the letter and is going to be sharing that with us. Now, Daniel, so let's look at the letter from the lawyers for the Group CEO.
Right, so it begins by saying, Israel, that we are solicitors for the above named, i.e. Multimedia Group Limited and Chief Executive of Joy FM, and hold firm instructions to issue this statement in reaction to defamatory comments made on or about Friday, July 9, 2021 by Mr. Kennedy Ohene Agyapong on his Net2 TV network and broadcast virtually to the world. Our clients take a serious view of the outright falsehoods of wrongdoing, including unethical hack of saboteur reporting against government, criminal blackmail, corruption, and warmongering. It says our clients take notice that clips of said statements are being circulated and republished, especially on social media. Now, our clients state the following unimpeachable facts. Number one, that the reference to a meeting with the chief executive of the Multimedia Group is accurate only to the extent of a brief discussion over a petition against the move in 2017 to reduce transmission coverage radius of certain radio stations to 45 kilometers. This petition, delivered to and received by the sector ministry on May 11, 2018, was issued and signed by management of 10 radio stations, including Kent City Media Limited's Oman FM. Now, viewers can find a copy of this particular petition online, myjoyonline.com. It says that the group of stations operating, including a 100-kilometer coverage radii, fearing the devastating impact of the threatened reduction to the established audience reach and investment made on the strength of the existing frequency reach, felt out of courtesy that the said meeting be had with him, Kennedy Agyapong, as then chairman of Parliament's Communications Committee, which he was at the time, that it bears stressing that neither did the CEO of the Multimedia Group Limited, an established professional business conduct, to step out, of his known character and established professional business conduct to discuss anything personal, nor such as separately, privately concerned Joy FM or Multimedia Group as a business, and certainly never a word about the falsely alleged concerns of his staff.
All right, so I just want you to pause at this point so that we go over the fine details here and clarify some issues. So we're talking about a meeting. So Kennedy Agyapong makes reference to a certain meeting with the chief executive of the Multimedia Group. Now, the lawyers are saying that, yes, there was a meeting that happened, but the meeting happened in
respect of what they state in point one, which is, points two. In respect of the 100-kilometer reduction, remember this story was big back in 2017 to 2018. National Communications Authority wanted to reduce the frequency reach of these radio stations. Yeah. The statement says that this was the only agenda of that meeting. Right. At no point in the meeting did the chief executive of the Multimedia Group Limited step out of his known professional behavior to discuss any other matter, as was alleged by Kennedy Agyapong.
Right, so let's go on to the rest of the...
Right, and this is point 4. It says that neither Joy FM nor its CEO has ever made the falsely alleged demand of money from government nor the NPP, and certainly not from any individual in government or the NPP for any purposes. Point 5 says that to the question in malicious projection of purported evidence of criminal culpability, only because he ever saw some stuff in Gabi Asare Dakun's house, management has become aware of the following instances. 1. A meeting taking an interview with then candidate Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo ahead of the 2016 general elections. 2. An invitation by Mr. Ochre Dakun to a number of media personalities from various media houses in December 2019 for what was a normal interaction on governance. And 3. An invitation to a number of staff to discuss the possibility of their joining Asase Radio ahead of its commencement in 2020.
All right, so there are some meetings between
Exactly.
Gabi Asare Dakunwa and some staff of multimedia,
Yes.
but it happened under certain circumstances,
Exactly.
and they explained the circumstances. That one, it had to do with some media.
An invitation to now President, then candidate Akufo-Addo ahead of the 2016 election. That was the first instance. The second instance was in 2019, where a number of selected media personalities. The impression is given here that the multimedia group was not the only media house which was represented there.
All right.
Or should I say Joy FM, because Mr. Japan was very specific to say Joy FM. He said Joy was not the only media house there, media personalities, interacting on governance. And then they go on to say an invitation to a number of staff to discuss the possibility of their joining Asase Radio. You're aware of the culture that, media personalities from certain media houses are approached when a new media house is setting up to discuss the possibility of moving. We have seen staff of the multimedia group move to Asase, and I don't know if it's in relation to these meetings, but that's what the statement says.
All right, so let's continue with the rest of the statement.
Right, I'm just left with 2 points here. That in any case, Joy FM, a world-class brand, has for over 2 decades established itself as a unique brand, championing development and critical journalism. It endeavors always to operate in full compliance of law, the constitutional dictates for media practice, and follows best practices of journalism, which allows staff to exercise independence of thought and action and professionally. The final point is that, in fact, it is impossible for the hundreds of staff from diverse backgrounds and private interests working together to produce news and programs to be dictated to, influenced, or to agree to his false allegation of a grand agenda against government, the NPP, or any entity or individual. It says our clients are seriously considering all their options at law and caution against repetition and republication of those reckless and malicious falsehoods.
I think that's a very, very important point. I'd like you to reiterate that very last point.
And that's the final sentence, and you have it on your screen there. It says our clients are seriously considering all their options at law and caution against repetition and republication of those reckless and malicious falsehoods. So that's the position of the multimedia group in Joy FM as communicated by our lawyers, A Partners at Law.
All right, and the lawyers also make reference to the petition that was sent to the NCA. That petition we actually have, we're going to be sharing that with you on the screen. Daniel made reference to the fact that it's on the website, but we also have it on, and we'll share with you on screen right about now. But there it is, just details.
Yes. It's quite detailed, it's quite wordy, and the scope of the petition basically is advancing the argument that reducing the frequency reach of radio stations, commercial radio stations, from 100 kilometers to 45 kilometers will be detrimental to the survival of these media houses.
All right, so it is this petition that brought together the chief executive of the multimedia group and Kennedy Agyapong,
Exactly.
as in his capacity as chairman of the communications committee at the time.
At the time. And the impression is given here again that the chief executive of the multimedia group was not the only one present at that meeting with Kennedy Agyapong.
All right. Thank you very much, Daniel Dante, for bringing us the details from those letters. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break here, but still ahead in the bulletin, the presidential spouses begin refund of allowances following public backlash over Emolument Committee recommendation for them to be paid salaries. Some members of the general public are, however, not impressed.
Like I already said, I don't have proof that that money has been returned. What is he doing that she can return how much? Almost $1 million, just like that.
But how is the First Lady raising the nearly 900,000 cedis being paid back to the state? We'll bring you the details when we come back from the radio station here.
How did she raise 20 million or so to help support the mother and baby unit? If she didn't have capacity to raise those money, she wouldn't even have made those recommendations.
Now, government is defending First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo's payment of almost 900,000 cedis as refund of allowances paid her since 2017. It follows the First Lady's letter formally announcing her decision to reject salaries as proposed by the Intiamwa Beidou Emoluments Committee. In a statement earlier this morning, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo said that given the public backlash and criticism she received, she would pay the allowances. Well, in the last few hours, the First Lady sent a letter to the Chief of Staff indicating the payments. I'll share the letter with you right about now. So it reads, it's addressed to the Chief of Staff, and it reads, refund of allowances paid to the First Lady of the Republic of Ghana, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo. I am directed to forward herewith a consolidated Bank Ghana Limited check number 00002 for an amount of 899,097 cedis 84 pesos, being the full refund of monies received from 7 January 2017 to date as allowances given to Her Excellency the First Lady of the Republic. As disclosed by the statement issued on 12th of July 2021, Her Excellency the First Lady of the Republic is refunding the amount stated above and also takes this opportunity to decline any allowances to be paid her in the future. Her Excellency the First Lady remains committed to her role as First Lady and is devoted to a charity work championing the well-being of women and children in Ghana. Please accept, Madam, the assurances of our highest consideration. And it's signed by Shelley Laye, Office of the First Lady, and it's copied to the Chief of Staff, Office of the President, Jubilee House, Kanda, and copied actually to the Chief Director, Jubilee House. Well, Deputy Information Minister Fatima Abubakar has been responding to questions about how the First Lady would raise almost 900,000 cedis within days following the public backlash on the proposals to pay presidential spouses' salaries.
Her Excellency Rebecca Akufo-Addo is not young. She has lived even out of office. Her husband has been in office for only the past 5 years. Deduct the 5 years from all the years that she's been on this work. She has worked, and if she was even in the public sector, she would have retired. So you think such a person who have worked, who have earned a living all these years, how did she raise 20 million or so to help support the mother and baby unit? So let's not belabor some of these efforts. I believe if she didn't have capacity to raise those money, she wouldn't even have made those recommendations. Whatever it takes. If she, if per her conviction, she wants to return that money, at least let's respect that. And let's not take away from all the good things that she has done, all the good things that this government has done, especially in the face of COVID. And all of a sudden, that is washed away because something that was already in existence as some form of compensation or allowances ought to be formalized, because this government thought, oh, let's bring it to Parliament. Let's try and formalize it. Let's try and make sure it has some legal basis of a sort. As to whether you agree with the legal basis is another conversation. But to suggest that, oh, it's as if they were not earning anything.
So as you were saying, she raised it like how she raised monies to support the various philanthropic projects that she has in the past.
No, that is not what I said. I said even if you deduct the past 5 years that she has served as First Lady from her years, she should have been in public service. Maybe she would have been on pension. She has lived all these years, over 60 years, not as First Lady, as a Ghanaian. So I believe if it was beyond her, she wouldn't make such a claim.
Okay.
And I was using that example because of her efforts, because I don't want us to belabor the fact that she is not capable of.
Well, the minority in Parliament wants the Auditor General to probe accounts of spouses of the President and the Vice President. We'll come to that in a bit, but we've been speaking to some members of the public who have been sharing their thoughts on the gesture by the First Lady to refund the monies.
Oh, for me, what I think, especially after from the President's wife's statement, is that she doesn't disagree with the money, receiving the money. What she's unhappy with is commentary from the public. So if the public commentary had been positive, she would have still kept the money. And for me, that is not a principle. If she had a principled position, she wouldn't care what people are saying. She would have returned the money anyway. Like I already said, I don't have proof that that money has been returned. What is she doing that she can return how much? Almost $1 million. Just like that.
We see that these women are women of substance. I think it is good. It's good. And then it will serve as let's say it will serve as a deterrent to others to also to emulate from whatever they have done, you see. And we Ghanaians too, we talk too much. We talk a lot. Sometimes something will pop in, they don't understand, and then they start blowing their... It's not fair.
The money that they said we should pay, we should give it to the First Ladies, the Vice President, wives, and those things. Or to me, we can use that money for something else, because we have schools under trees, some children in the street, beggars, all those things. We can use the money for them instead of giving the money to the Vice President's wife and the President's wife and all those things. It's something that we are using just for nothing.
Well, the minority in Parliament wants the Auditor General to probe accounts of spouses of the President and the Vice President. The NDC MPs also want the Auditor General to compute interest accrued on the refunded 899,000 cedis by Rebecca Kufuor. Addressing the press and Parliament as Deputy Minority Leader James Aveji also wants the Auditor General to verify the sources of refund monies by the presidential spouses to ascertain if the monies paid to them since 2017 were spent or it was still sitting in their respective accounts without using it.
First of all, to ascertain that the money she refunded is the money that she actually received. That is number one. Two, also to compute the interest that that money would have accrued if that money had been put into any interest-bearing account, so that that money should also be refunded. The interest component should also be refunded. Third, to ascertain whether there is sufficient money in the account so that the check that she has issued will not bounce. Yes. The fourth one is also if she's now refunding the money, it means that she's not interested in any state fund. For that matter, all state funding of her NGO should also be audited by the Auditor General, and then all those money should also be refunded to the states, because she's not interested in receiving state sponsorship support.
In another development, Executive Director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, Linda Ofori-Quaffo, is opposing attempts to force former First Lady and the Second Lady to refund allowances paid them while their spouses were in office. Speaking with Joy News on the sidelines of the launch of the 2021 Integrity Initiative, Madam Ofori-Quaffo said the presidential spouses should not be compelled to pay back.
Oh, it's not an easy question to respond to. So then, on top of my head, I can say that, oh, we don't need it. We don't need it. But then, you still have to understand how it was started. You still have to understand the object and all that in relation to that subject. You still have to even discuss the amount and all those things involved. So a broader stakeholder conversation on this matter is very, very important. I also overheard you saying that because some people have actually returned their actually said they're not going to take their allowances any longer and are even going to refund that which they have taken in the past. It's a personal decision they have taken. Once there is no law saying that you should all return your money, the rest who have not returned their money, it's a personal decision they still have to make. For me, I've seen the social media discussions on the subject on Facebook, and they shouldn't actually force anybody to do so. That's a personal decision a person has taken, and it depends on the rest. But if you have actually taken money, it doesn't mean that you have to go and accumulate it and bring it back to the state. Is that what the public were really looking for? Or were they saying that don't pass a law, don't pay them, don't make it official, don't make it legal, yes.
She's also charging government to take advantage of the rejection by the current first and second ladies to halt such payments and allow for a proper streamlining of emoluments for presidential spouses.
I've heard people say who elected the people who elected MPs are not getting free cars. They do so those kind of things. So I still want to stand by my earlier point that we should have a conversation around this. There might be some good reasons in them, but now that people are also talking about it, apart from the first ladies themselves saying that we don't want it any longer, it means that there will be no payments. So it means that if even we set the payments in motion, they won't receive it. So then it can also mean you can halt it now, you can stop it now. Let us have the conversation on the subject. I don't know whether you really got the point. The point is that the recipients are saying we don't want it any longer. The others have not said so. But we can use the recipient, the two who have said we don't want it any longer, as a basis for halting it and quickly organizing a conversation around this. I think that would be one of the best.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. We're bringing you business news next. Stay tuned in.
It's now time for business. I'm Charles Aite. The World Bank has signed an agreement with the government for the release of some additional funds to fight COVID-19. The $200 million fund will go a long way to help the government procure additional COVID vaccines to support the entire health system better manage the pandemic. We have more in this report.
This is the second phase of the whole funding program by the World Bank to support Ghana under COVID-19 emergency preparedness and response project. This brings the total amount of funds advanced to Ghana under this initiative to $430 million. The objective of this project is to prevent, detect, and respond to the threats posed by COVID-19, as well as strengthen a national system for public health preparedness across the country. Speaking after the signing of the loan facility, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta said this couldn't have come at a better time in helping government manage the pandemic.
Undoubtedly, government cannot do this alone. We need deeper engagements from multilateral partners to facilitate the provision of the requisite financial and technical support to invest in human capital, build physical infrastructure, and comprehensively tackle development challenges that inhibit the SDG goals being attained. At its very core, this will require the availability of bold, innovative financial support to ensure that critical interventions in response to COVID-19 are immediate and swift. The signing of this agreement today forms an essential part of the government's drive to build back better and greener. And clearly, I would like to thank the World Bank, the IDA, and the team from the Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Health for their immense contribution and support, not only of combating the pandemic, but also furthering government's transformation agenda.
The World Bank Country Director Pierre Laporte, on his part, expressed the bank's commitment to support Ghana in these challenging times to stabilize the economy.
$1 million, and then a first additional financing of $130 million. So today, I'm pleased to be here to sign the second additional financing and to note and remind everyone that this specific project is focusing mostly on the vaccines, whilst the first two projects supported mostly the initial efforts to put in place the systems and the support to fight the immediate impact we are now moving to a next phase, and we think that this is extremely important for Ghana because the resources will go to supporting the whole system to be better prepared to deliver vaccines to the people, which is critical in the recovery of the health system itself, to build resilience of the population, and also at the same time to note that we continue to support the economic recovery through the Ghana Economic Transformation and Tourism Development Projects, among others. Minister, we are not health experts, both you and I, but we all know that vaccine delivery is a very delicate, sensitive, and complex issue. So, you know, we need to be mindful as we go forward that this will not be an easy endeavor as we move to implement this project.
The World Bank has maintained that this facility, together with other programs, should help Ghana put the economy on a strong footing going forward.
Research by the COVID Transparency and Accountability Project CTAP on Ghana has shown a possible misuse of COVID funds due to an inefficient reporting system. The study championed by the civic organization Budget Ghana was to determine how transparent and accountable the government has been on the usage of monies intended to tackle the impact of the pandemic. Ray Fifi Nkum is country lead of Budget Ghana, and he has been highlighting aspects of this report.
What we sought to do with this project is to find out how accountable government is being with COVID-19 fund disbursements, given the huge inflows that came in from international partners and some monies that were internally generated to tackle the pandemic. And what we're looking out for is the e-procurement platform to include information on the procurement plans from each of the institutions that were charged with tackling the pandemic. We were expected to see contract package descriptions. We expected to see estimated costs for each of the packages, the procurement plans the procurement methods that were used, but this information is missing on the public procurement website, which makes it difficult to ascertain exactly which companies were awarded the contracts, and it makes accountability quite difficult.
And that's it for business. Of course, the bulletin continues to stay.
All right, so on to Sports Now. Hearts board member Dr. Nyaho Tamaklosi praises on head coach Samuel Boadu and striker Daniel Efriye-Barney after the club clinched their first league title since 2009. A 1-1 draw with Liberty Professionals on day 33 of the Ghana Premier League was enough to hand Hearts a trophy that has eluded them for 11 years. Dr. Nyaho Tamaklosi singled out Samuel Boadu and striker Daniel Efriye-Barney for praise.
I was saying we didn't really see him as a special figure per se. I remember I had a talk with him, and during our discussions, I was convinced that this is somebody who knows exactly what he's about. Barnier, listen to me very clearly. Barnier case is interesting. I watched Barnier, I think their last match when they played in Mauritania or whatever they played that match, when he was the captain of the
AFCON, under 20.
I told myself, this is a good player. But then I didn't even know that he was part of of the club.
Oh, wow.
I'm being frank with you.
Yeah.
But when I watched him train, I said, this boy had to be washed.
A lot of the fans will be looking at properly celebrating this one. How are you? Are there any plans? How are you going about it?
The next match is just this Sunday. I think the coronation was done yesterday at Accra Sports Stadium. we bought 4 bottles of champagne, expensive champagne.
Who was your most difficult game of the season?
I think our match with Dwarfs.
Wow.
To me, was the most difficult game. They were determined to destroy us. Dwarfs have always been warring Accra House of Folk since I grew up as a small boy following Hearts. So Dwarfs that's why we call them, and they call themselves to mysterious. But we don't know how they score their goals.
Games and Foreign Base Athletes Coordinator Professor Andy Owusu has described Ghana's relay team as special and is confident they will achieve bigger things. Sean Safuentry, Joseph Paul Amwa, Benjamin Azamati, and Emmanuel Yebo have the potential to make Ghana proud, and Professor Usu has backed them to impress.
And lead host, Joseph Amwa, we also owe a big thank you because Joe has been really pulling double duty in terms of what he has to do with regards to training, but also making sure that his teammates are well taken care of as and when things come up. Now, training is going well. We've had several sessions. Yesterday was one of our high-intensity sessions, just trying to make sure that we have their steps down in the relay. I think it was a productive session. We will be revisiting a bit more today and then also a bit more high-intensity again tomorrow. One thing I can say about the group here, the relay team, I have been on many national teams, including some that I competed on myself. And it is amazing to see how they work together as brothers. The women also had the same or something similar in terms of taking care of each other. And this is what makes them special. This is why they are able to overcome all the obstacles that they sometimes face through no fault of their own. So I am really proud to see how well they work together and how well they keep in touch. Sometimes I wish, we had other people here to observe them in action. So I couldn't say enough how, as an association, we are proud of our athletes and the way they comport themselves and carry.
All right, and indeed, we wish the team the very best. We're taking a break. We're bringing you Showbiz next station. We have quite a bit for you on Showbiz. Becky Bex has to round down. So, Bex, let's go.
Yeah, praise the Lord, because I'm talking
Amen.
a lot of, gospel today.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Tehillah Experience has been launched, or Hima
Okay.
Mercy's Tehillah Experience. It's been running for 8 years. This is the 8th year, and it's been launched, and I saw...
That's what takes place on the church at Spencer's Road. Okay,
yeah.
I've been there.
So it promises a lot
times.
of, things. Let's listen to Ohima Mercy and, a few people who came through.
Could testify that Tehillah Experience is a spiritual thing, and that we don't just do anything just like that. So we've been praying, and we have not gotten the green light to move from the place, but I believe that the right time will come, that the Lord will actually direct us to where we have to move to.
What necessitated the whole lineup for this year? We have some foreign acts coming. It's not like you haven't brought any foreign acts. What is so special about this lineup that we should all look forward to come 8th of August?
We prayed. I think we presented a lot of artists before the Lord, and these are the wonderful artists God gave us the green light to bring on bill. And we are believing that all these wonderful artists are spiritually, and they believe in worship. And when they stand to worship, things happen. So it was the right direction God gave to us. And we believe that this year God is going to use them massively to affect people.
A little bit whispered to me that you have a theme song for this year's Tehillah Experience. Have we ever had that? No, we don't.
We have never. And this year God gave us a song, His Glory. And we unveiled it somewhere last month, and it's doing very well. And if you are watching us on this platform, we want you to subscribe to YouTube on Ohima Mercy. Go and watch this video, learn it, and don't be left out, because this is going to be our team.
This year's Tehillah, believe in me, miracles are going to happen, healing is going to take place, and most of all, we are going to lift the name of Jesus high very strongly. We are going to lift up worship very strongly, and you cannot miss out. So I'm inviting everybody to, be there.
I love Ohima Mercy. And with everything that she does, the fact that she's a gospel musician, she loves the work of God, the fact that she promotes the business of the kingdom, I love that about her. And this year's Tehillah's Experience, I'm expecting God to work a miracle in my life. The same way you are expecting God to do a miracle in your life, I'm expecting God to work signs and wonders in my life. And so I'm using this opportunity to invite you, Becky. Go, Becky. On pass, sorry, sorry.
Really?
I don't know why that was in there, but well.
How could you be so exposed?
I can you imagine?
You don't go to church.
Oh, I go to church all the time. Don't look at me like that, Easy.
You are so badly exposed.
Easy. Let's talk about Moyisha Budon.
Oh yeah. Her case has been a matter of concern to me.
Yes.
Someone will attend to her as quickly as possible.
I have only one song for Moyisha if she hasn't, really listened to this song before. That Nyamine Juma. It's a good song.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. We're taking a break here. That's it for Showbiz, and that's it for those of you who are watching on Joy Prime. But there's more news on the Joy News channel. Stay tuned in. The opposition NDC is demanding a full-blown public inquiry into the $5 million issue against the Chief Justice, Kwesi Anim-Yeboah. That's not all. The party is also pushing for the Chief Justice to step aside to allow the judiciary to conduct its investigations into the matter. General Secretary Johnson Yesiedun Ketia fears the police will do a shoddy job, citing the Australian visa scandal, the 500 missing excavators, amongst which he alleges were covered by the police CID. Yesiedun Ketia, who described the allegations against the CJ as grave and rocks the foundation of the judiciary, also insists lack of transparency in handling the issue would erode public confidence in the judiciary. He addressed the media earlier in the day.
The issue has dire consequences for the reputation of not just the judiciary or the person of the Chief Justice himself, but our revered chieftaincy institution and the country as a whole. The question is, whose account among the three should we believe as a country? Who is telling us the truth? Is it the Chief Justice and Nana Ojedom, or is it Lawyer Kwesi Afrifa? We believe that only fair and transparent investigations can establish the truth in this matter. And we hold the opinion that the transparent approach of a public inquiry is the best way to go. This approach, we believe, is in the interest of the Chief Justice and the lawyer who both stand accused. The likelihood for an impartial and balanced investigation by them into this matter will be quite minimal, so long as the Chief Justice remains at post. We therefore believe that the General Legal Council should stay its hands off over this matter pending the final determination of the issue by independent state organizations clothed with requisite authority to do so. Best practice will require that the Chief Justice steps aside temporarily until the matters are looked into and a clear outcome emerges. And we believe this instance calls for such an action. Friends from the media, in making these calls, we are guided by the supreme interests of governance and the preservation of the image of critical state institutions like the judiciary and its leaders, especially the Chief Justice. No iota of doubt must remain about its integrity and credibility, and it is absolutely imperative that everything is done to guarantee this.
The Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice says it is giving the necessary attention to a petition asking that it probes the alleged $5 million bribe involving the Chief Justice. Private legal practitioner Kwesi Afrifa, in a response to a complaint at the General Legal Council by his client, claimed the Chief Justice had requested the said amount in order for his client to receive a favorable decision from the court. There is more on this unfolding story in the following news desk report.
Started with a petition filed by Ojedom Obranu Kwesi Atta VI against his lawyer Kwesi Afrifa. The traditional ruler alleges the lawyer had asked for an amount of $100,000 from him to be used for what he called, quote, ways and means, end quote, to secure a favorable decision. Mr. Atta says he paid the amount but requested a refund on suspicion that the lawyer had not used the money for the said purpose. The lawyer in his response dismissed the allegation and rather leveled another. He claimed it was his client, the chief, who said he had met with the Chief Justice, who demanded an amount of $5 million to return a favorable judgment. Ojedom Kwesi Atta has since denied this allegation. He insists he does not have a personal relationship with the Chief Justice. The CJ has since written to the police asking that it investigates the matter. Legal practitioner Max Olopoko Ajiman says it is irregular for such matters to be taken center stage in the public domain instead of the in-camera hearing.
Even the petitioner is also saying stay tuned, as if it is a concert party that we are going to have a repeat. Stay tuned. I don't think it's proper. If you make allegations against a lawyer, our rules indicate that it should be in camera proceeding. All the documents are confidential until decisions are made.
Anti-corruption campaigner Edem Senanu says a timely investigation by the police and SHRAJ will settle the matter.
I think that if CID and SHRAJ take a look at this and are expeditious about it in providing what exactly happened between the parties, it will help all of us.
SHRAJ, in a statement to the petitioner, Aserpa, says it is giving the matter the necessary attention.
Now, the number of people who live at Old Fadama, Ghana's largest slum, has always been in contention. The Ghana Statistical Service is hoping this year's census will confirm the actual number of inhabitants there. But for the residents in the area, the counting exercise brings back long-held fears government may be planning to evict them. Joining us, Justice Beatty went into the area with census officers to see how the process happens there and what people make of it.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
My service.
The census van meanders through the alleyways of Old Fadama. The loudspeakers on it has one message.
The 2021 Population and Housing Census. You count, get counted.
It's 9:30 in the night. And unlike everywhere else where the census is taking place, this is the only time officers can find people at home.
It's been very challenging because of having more than 20 people in one room. A structure, not less than 10 people living in that structure. And these are not a husband and wife. These are individuals who live as households. So here you have individual persons forming a household and being in one room. That's not less than 10. Maximum is about 30 people in a room.
The numbers here have always been estimated to be well over 100,000. As Ghana's largest slum, people here have no access to public services like healthcare or even schools. With this census expected to produce new data on the actual number of people here, hopes are high this could be the beginning of a new era in Old Fadama's development. Hadija Awudu comes from the northern regional town of Savlugu. The slum has no public schools. She has 4 children and has had to leave 3 of them behind in her hometown so they can go to school. She's a head porter here.
There is rumor that after this census, we will be sacked from this place. We are Ghanaians too, and this is where we get our livelihood. Many of the people here use money from their work here to take care of older people back home. If they move us from here and we go back home, how will we survive?
Like her, people in the slum have always felt left behind in terms of the country's development. The land on which this slum is located belongs to the government, but has for decades become home to thousands who have deserted northern Ghana, flocking across markets in search of work. This census once again brings to the people fears of getting removed.
1 week now, people no sleep well. We are here, the people they say they will come and destroy our place, the place where we they sleep. Here we they sleep, and daybreak everybody go work today. We are voting. If you rally come here today, they do rally. And the people, some people they vote here, some people they vote north. If your voting time come, there are leaders there for parliament. They will bring cars. More buses come this market. And to carry the hometown people go to vote for him. Then why you people, they can't go north to vote for you? Then we come back here. When they destroy them now, where you go get?
There is no cause for alarm, says Victor Owusu, the man leading the census process here.
They were thinking that we are coming to count them and just help the regional minister to take them out of this place. But we told them, no, we are here to help them to get their numbers. And their numbers means a lot to us because here is a slum and we need to get the demographic characteristics which will help us to make plans for policy and development for them.
But even that does very little to allay fears. Justice Beidou, Joy News, Old Fadama.
River dredgers on the Dunkwa end of the River Ofin are back to mine in the river. 3 weeks after the Operation Halt team invaded the area, phase 2 of a renewed effort to deal with all forms of illegal mining in the protection of the environment has seen the destruction of many mining equipment. But a return to the mining community of Dunkwa has revealed these dredgers are either on the river or mobilizing to return. Nana Ajima was at Kwekrum in Dunkwa to investigate the destruction caused by the dredgers and filed this report.
In the third phase of Operation Halt, 28 excavators, 267 shamfans with platforms, 18 water pumping and milling machines were destroyed. The exercise was carried out by 400 security personnel. Every Tuesday is off-duty day for miners in Dunkwa and its environs. The day in local parlance is termed Breaking Day. The Joy News team made a visit to the river on the day. At the Aquacrom end of the river, where the Operation Halt team visited, some Shamfan boats are found floating on the surface of the river. According to residents, the dredgers, who have occasionally escaped arrests, are able to reach the area quickly to mobilize resources in building the mining platforms, causing harm to the river. Spokesperson for Dunkwa District of Small Scale Miners Association, Peter Aike, explains the task force has to do more in dealing with the menace.
I can say 50-60% are still on the water bodies. Why? Because they are in the hinterland. Where they are, the military cannot locate them. It is the community people who can locate them. And you will eliminate the community people from the fight. How do you want to win? Some places, they are doing these illegal things from the main road or the junction. You can walk like 1 hour, 2 hours before you get to where they are. And somebody from Takrady, military personnel, from Accra, from Kumasi, bringing him here to come and fight illegal mining. How does that person locate these illegal people? Come down to our level as small-scale miners and the community. We will help the government to win this fight because the environment belongs to us, the water body belongs to us.
The River Ofin has further deteriorated as dredgers continue to operate on the river. For years, dredging for gold in Dunkwa end of River Ofin has affected persons living in the area. Persistent alluvial dredging of the riverbeds and washing of sand for gold have narrowed the courses of various parts, causing siltation of the river and leading to flooding. Small-scale miners in Dunkwa believe the current approach may fail unless members of the community are involved in the fight. Peter Aike again.
We are going to be self-policing, meaning the small-scale miners ourselves will monitor the activities of our own members. If you do wrong, we will advise you to do it. If not, because our task force or monitoring team comprises with the police, the district, the MCE, the government officials to join together. So it's not small-scale miners alone who is going to fight the fight. We are helping the government to fight and we will win. But if government says that I am going to do it alone and I have the power, you will fail.
Since 2013, small-scale miners through their task force have made efforts to deal with the menace of mining on the river. Meanwhile, The association says the task force deployed to the area undertook exercises beyond their limits, burning excavators out of the concessions. For Joy News, Nana Ojima, Dunkwao, Central Region.
Let's watching Joy News Prime and moving on to other stories. The Bono East Regional Minister, Mr. Kwesi Edujang, has assured of government's resolve to improve security in the Sene East and West District. The comment comes after teachers and some public sector workers in the area embarked on an indefinite strike following 2 separate robbery incidents that resulted in the killing of 2 teachers over the past 2 months. The minister, who visited the area to ascertain the situation, appealed to the Road Ministry to work towards fixing the Tibubu Kwame Danso Road, which according to him is contributing to the increasing number of robberies in the area. My colleague Anasabit was in the community and came through with the following report.
Following recent armed robbery attacks in the Sene East and West districts of the Bono East region, workers in this area are raising red flags over the state of insecurity in the 2 districts. A group of teachers in the Sene West district capital, Kwame Danso, petitioned the Bono East regional minister stating reasons why they are laying their tools. The minister, who embarked on an emergency visit to the district to ascertain the situation on the ground, met the teachers clad in red and wielding placards with inscriptions such as "Who is next?" "Fix the security in Sene now," amongst others. They read their petition in the presence of the regional minister.
In the space of 2 months, 2 hardworking professional teachers of Sene West and East have been shot dead in 2 separate robbery attacks respectively. Teachers have been left badly traumatized and threatened tomorrow. More seriously, teachers, especially non-natives, are threatened to leave the district for security reasons. Teachers have therefore resolved that they can only return to the classroom and offer their full services not until the following demands are met. We, the teachers and the educational workers in the district, are saying that or appealing to the government through the regional minister to immediately establish a military base in the zone.
The group also called for the immediate fixing of the Atibubu Kwame Danso Kojokrom Road, which according to them is a contributing factor to the increase in armed robbery cases in the area.
We are therefore appealing to the government through the regional minister that Atibubu Kojokrom Road, Trunk Road, must be immediately fixed to forestall the rampant robbery attacks on teachers and other educational workers. We are also saying that the perpetrators of this crime should be brought to book immediately.
Salahini of the Juan Traditional Council, Nana Kofi Nyako, who was present at the meeting, expressed worry at the situation at hand and appealed for immediate actions to be taken to arrest the situation.
Regional Minister, by 2021 year, Niama is Sene West.
What we are experiencing in the year 2021 is something we've never seen before. It is getting out of hand. So we are thankful to the minister for the visit. And we are appealing to him to instill some measures that will help improve the situation. In response to their concerns, Bono East Regional Minister Mr. Kwesi Edujang assured of government's resolve to swiftly improve the security of the area.
Your petition here, I have received it. And most of the items that you have identified here, these are the items, issues that I discussed with my Regional Security Council yesterday afternoon. And I must tell you, you've talked about a military base, a military unit that will provide support and assistance to the police service. We 100% agree with you. As I'm talking to you now, we have made arrangements that in Atebubu, accommodation and every arrangement has been done for us to bring a detachment of the military.
Two members of parliament from both sides of the House have filed a private member's motion asking the House to reject the $28 million loan agreement between the government and the National Investment Bank, which facilitates the purchase of vehicles for MPs. North Tongue MP Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa has teamed up with his counterpart from Okaigwe Central, Patrick Buama, in a move they believe would save the nation millions of dollars. Parliament has come under heavy criticism for approving the loan agreement, which would see the government pay for 60% of the cost incurred in acquiring the vehicles for the MPs. The individual members are then levied every month to cover the difference. Speaking in an exclusive interview with Joy News' Daniel Dati, Mr. Ablakwa stated that it will be cost-effective to purchase duty post vehicles for the MPs, which they would leave behind when exiting office.
If you look at the terms of the private member's motion that my colleague and I have filed and delivered to the Speaker today, and you are the first person to hear of this, following our submission to the Speaker this morning, we are saying that the state should withdraw. The Finance Minister should withdraw. If he fails to withdraw the term loan agreement valued at $28 million with NIB, we should reject it as members of parliament. Let's vote. And that is why this is a bipartisan vote. Okay. And we are hoping that we can all rally our colleagues on both sides of the aisle to reject this loan facility. And then the state should make provision for MPs like it does for ministers, for judges, for all these constitutional bodies.
It's in the Ntiama Badu report. They actually envisioned this. They actually state that the need for equity among Article 71 holders is important. But in the report, which was way back in 2019, it was written that members of parliament acknowledged that having cars procured for them as duty post vehicles would be an unnecessary burden on the state. And so it will be necessary to have this loan agreement where the MPs are deducted from source and then they pay off for the vehicles and the vehicles become their own. You were a member of parliament at the time. What has changed? Is it because the public is at you?
Again, let me be clear that I was not consulted at any point in time. You'll notice that when you go through the over 120 pages of the report, you would not see names of those who were consulted. I mean, often they are blanket statements. We spoke to the MPs.
But you've been a member of parliament for years.
Did you speak to all 275
You've been a member of parliament for years. This is an arrangement that you are well aware of.
Initially, if you look at the Hansards, I have raised reservations about these matters. But this is the first time that I seem to be getting some, support across the aisle. And we are able to file a private member's motion. We're taking advantage of also the unique, nature of this parliament, where for the first time you have a speaker who it does not belong to the president's party. It's not part of the ruling party. So we are in these uncharted waters, which afford us the opportunity to take some of these views that we hold forward.
Mr. Ablakwa also said Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has until next week to present the itemized budget for the president's travels to the House or face a vote of censure.
I filed a memo to the Business Committee and served notice that if he continues with this more time in perpetuity, we will activate Article 82. You only need 97 members to initiate a vote of censure. And we have served notice that we will initiate a vote of censure. In other words, we will start removal processes.
When?
This is his last week. And I served notice last Friday after the presentation of the Business Committee. This will be his last week. Fortunately, the Speaker has given indication that he will get him to come answer this week. If he still does not come answer and he's talking about more time in perpetuity, when we know that all these matters you have paid for already, I've spoken to Acropolis Aviation. If you don't pay, they don't take off. Their jet will not leave Farnborough in the UK when you have not honored your side of the bargain, you haven't paid for the transaction. You've paid for the per diems already. You've paid for all of these, landing rights and all of that. So it's just, if you don't have time to just add up the receipts, just bring them to Parliament. I'm happy to tabulate them.
Full interview airs on Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. on Joy Prime TV. And the National Democratic Congress says it will resist all attempts by the NPP to use technicalities to remove the MP for Assin North, Joe Gyakye from office. A Cape Coast High Court on Tuesday deferred judgment on the matter on the 28th of June because the MP had invoked the supervisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court on the matter. Even though the Supreme Court has set the 27th of July for its decision, National Chairman of the NDC, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, says the people of Assin North should not be denied representation because the NPP needs to increase its numbers in Parliament. At a post-court interview with the media, the NDC chair stressed they have identified the machinations against the MP and the party has been very worried about the direction the case is going.
Lawyer has indicated, we believe that there are some evidences that must be adduced during a trial process to justify why we think that our member of parliament for Assin North is duly and properly elected. In fact, in the processes of even vetting, we went through a process where we had a legal team examining documentations of all those who have domiciled outside the country and were coming, to contest elections. And we went through it. And we were satisfied. In fact, that committee was chaired by no other person than the current Speaker of Parliament, His Right Honourable Abang Gbagbe, who went through all the processes of our legal team to satisfy the party that Honourable James Kwesi was very qualified under the laws, the electoral laws of Ghana to contest the election. And again, the issues were even raised before the Electoral Commission, and the Electoral Commission also adjudicated on the matter and cleared him before he even filed his nomination. So we believe that this attempt to use technicalities and for the judge to jump the due process and go ahead and pronounce judgment was something that we are not prepared to countenance. Because we believe that we have gone through the processes and we believe that our member of parliament was duly elected. He went through all the processes, was satisfied by the Electoral Commission, was satisfied by the party internal vetting committee, and we believe that he's duly, elected. Again, we also believe that having come from another jurisdiction, references to the jurisprudence of those areas is also critical in this matter. And that is why we feel that the evidence that will be adduced as to when he actually renounced his citizenship and all those things with date attached, which the party has it and which our legal team has it, will go a long way to exonerate him and justify why the party took the decision and why the Electoral Commission itself accepted his nomination for him to file and then be contested.
A break, we'll bring you more business next.
And Business Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is likely to present a supplementary budget to Parliament by the end of this month. This will be in addition to the mid-year of estimates that he will table before the House for approval during that same period. But will this result in additional spending? We have more in this report.
I mean, every step you take, you need to step back and take stock or evaluate whatever you have. And I believe the supplementary budget is serving that purpose. So we don't witness significant deviations from targets. If there are new or unexpected revenue that has come in since the budget was read, of course, that has to be made public to Parliament, to the Ghanaian public. If there are new expenditures that are very eminent and have to be incurred, Parliament have to know, the Ghanaian people, the good people of Ghana will have to know. So I think the supplementary budget is not a bad thing. We don't want to deviate too much from our estimates or our targets. And hopefully, by end of the year, we would have some decent numbers to show, given that we correct any mistake or any deviations as early as possible.
But Prof, how do you also respond to concerns that the supplementary budget could increase the debt stock?
Well, it may or may not, because I don't think it will be very unusual for given where we find ourselves, given the debt GDP ratio, for a finance minister to come and ask for more approvals in terms of loans when we have not increased our revenue generation capacity. So it goes hand in hand. We might want to see more revenue generated. Then, of course, if we're going to borrow or going to increase our debt stock, then there could be justification. Of course, justification for how much we're going to borrow and what we're going to use it for. If it's going to be invested, then of course, there's every room for accommodation. But if it's going to be used for consumption, then I believe Parliament would scrutinize this and of course, indicate their displeasure.
The Finance Ministry has submitted a list of board members for the National Development Bank to the Bank of Ghana for approval. Joy Business understands that this was done earlier this month, but is the National Development Bank set to take off from the end of this month? George Rafi explains in this report.
We understand this is one of the hurdles that government has to clear to help the bank take off, as expected, by the end of this month. Sources say when the board members are approved, the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, would then officially name the person that would chair the board. He is also expected to do this in consultation with the development partners and also appoint an interim chief executive from these board members to run the institution for now. Joy Business understands that government has subjected itself to strict international guidelines when it came to the nomination of these board members and even recruiting some persons to run the institution on an interim basis. This is expected to help deal with any undue political interference with the bank. The Finance Ministry itself believes that this might be one of the best approaches to ensure that for the first time the bank stands the test of time. The board will also have some strong institutional representation from the World Bank and the German development institution, that is KfW. According to the Finance Ministry and the international consultants brought on board, they have put in place the necessary structures to aid the smooth takeoff of the bank from the end of this month. Government is hoping to use the National Development Bank to enhance long-term lending to commercial banks and some sectors in the economy.
The Tourism Minister, Dr. Mohamed Ibrahim Awal, has expressed concern that the high cost of hotel charges in the country is causing challenges to the tourism sector, saying it is denying Ghanaians from using hotels that's affecting the industry. He says the Tourism Ministry is bent on developing the domestic tourism space to generate significant revenue for the country. He was speaking at the launch of the 10th anniversary of Mövenpick Ambassador Hotel.
Tourism Minister is worried that the high cost of hotel charges will impede the growth of local tourism, which has the ability to become a top earner for the nation. He, however, believes the hotel industry is critical in unlocking the growth of local tourism and therefore wants the industry and government to dialogue to help reduce costs of hotels.
As a ministry, as governments, we embarked on a domestic tourism drive to bring a lot of people, Ghanaians, to go around. I want to urge you and to entreat you that help us get Ghanaians move around. To achieve this, hotel industry players and governments, we must find common grounds to ensure that we reduce the cost of hotels in this country. The cost is related life. We can't be competitive with this cost. Together with government, we must find ways to make Ghanaian hotels competitive so that when people come all over the world, Ghana will be their preferential choice.
General Manager of Mövenpick Ambassador Hotel, Deborah Lee-Ann Siversen, said Ghana is famed for its genuine and warm hospitality, and these values are what define the Mövenpick brand, which include demonstrating quality and care for guests. She further said her outfit is intimately involved in the lives of guests and have a long-term commitment to sustainability and environmental awareness.
Ghana is framed for its genuine and warm hospitality. And being my first time in Ghana, I've witnessed and experienced the undeniable, genuine and authentic hospitalities through the personalities of my staff, our artists. Their values are what defines the Mövenpick brand, demonstrating quality, reliability, care for the guests, partners, as well as for fellow artists, and doing all of this with a personal touch. We are proud to have obtained sustainable excellence over the last 10 years, serving as a market leader with standards others aspire to attain, and being driven to obtain higher heights.
The theme for the anniversary is Doing the Ordinary in Extraordinary Ways, 10 years and beyond. The celebrations will continue till November.
The rollout of a vaccination campaign by government has instilled confidence in traveling and has stimulated demand. Some airlines have announced more traveling options within West and Central Africa, despite the surge in the new Delta variant across the globe. But as this plays out, questions are rife over the safety of air travel in these times. Aviation expert Sean Mendes tells Joy Business that a robust testing regime will help the country keep the new COVID variant under control.
There are a lot of places in the world which are taking very different approaches to it. Some places like Dubai, I was in Dubai last week and I was very impressed by the steps that they're taking there in terms of testing and maintaining protocols and compliance with those. Other places are shutting down more. If you look at Australia, they're tightening up their border controls and so forth. But I think the key to this is you must have a robust strategy. And this is something I've been saying for many months now. Ghana did a very good job on implementing a border control strategy when borders reopened in September last year. The two-phase testing protocol, where you test someone before departure and you test them again on arrival, has proven to be very successful in keeping imported cases out of Ghana. And that's no different with the Delta variant. If you look at Ghana, which is one of the most open countries in the world right now, the number of cases that are imported, despite being open to the US, to the UK, to parts of Africa and everywhere else, are not that high. And that is showing that the border controls are effective, that they are working, that they are not importing cases. And as long as you're able to have the confidence in that, you can continue to travel, you can continue to open up the economy without the fear of the Delta variant taking over the community circulation.
Well, that'll be it by way of business, but I'll leave you with a summary of international business news.
Welcome back to the second half of Sports, and board chairman of Accra Great Olympics, His Excellency Amakai Amatha has congratulated Accra Hearts of Oak on winning this year's Ghana Premier League after an 11-year wait for domestic silverware. Now, Hearts have won the 2021 league title, even though there's one more match to be played. An Olympic sport has heaped praises on the Phobians.
I wish to congratulate Accra House of Oaks from the chairman, Togbe Afede, the directors, the management, down to the technical team, the playing body, and indeed the entire family of Accra House of Oak. on behalf of myself and on behalf of the directors, the management, the technical team, the playing body, and the supporters of Accra Great Olympics. I think Accra House of Oaks have demonstrated what determination, perseverance, and resilience can do in a tough competition as we've just finished. May I also take this opportunity to promise Accra House of Oak and all other clubs in the country a stiffer competition.
So fans of Accra House of Oak are still anticipating and waiting that the rest of the other teams will congratulate them. But moving on to rugby, the national rugby football team, the Eagles, are on an image-redeeming exercise after losing heavily to powerhouse Uganda in this year's Rugby Africa Cup. The next game is against Algeria on July 14. Deputy Captain Prince Wama has been revealing to Muftar Nabila Abdul why the team got off to a disastrous start.
It comes with a whole lot of issues because mostly when we are preparing for a tournament, we have about 6 months preparation and playing some test matches here and there to see how the team will be much ready. But seeing these politics going on here and there, it's really affected our preparation for this tournament. And it's not been easy because as we are speaking now, the Ghana rugby account has been frozen. But yet still, Mr. Betmensa make it possible for us to get to Kampala. So all those politics here and there has really affected our performance during our first game. But yes, still, the hope hasn't lost yet because we have our second game against Algeria, which is coming on this Wednesday. So me, myself, and the captain, Salom Gavo, we've tried our best to bring the guys together and motivate ourselves and make sure that coming this Wednesday, we'll come out with a victory.
You've spoken about the challenges that have resulted in your opening day defeat to Uganda. Now tell us, what are the next preparations online been like to ensure that your next game against Algeria is one you would win and give yourself the opportunity of qualification to the next stage?
Yeah, for now, we, the captains and the technical team, are together trying to bring one or two things together to make sure we'll see ourselves through on Wednesday so that we can qualify for the next stage. Because as I said, this politics has cost us a lot. It has really cost us a lot. But yes, still, hope is not yet lost. We talk to the guys, we speak to them, we've motivated them that, guys, this is our time. Even though our preparation was very poor because we didn't have much time to prepare for this tournament. So we even took this Uganda game as our first test match, even though we lost, but that's how we see it. But coming this Wednesday, that's where we know we are really going into the game with fully prepared and correct mindset, which we know is going to give us a positive result at the end of the game.
So at this point, are you suggesting that the opening game that you used as a warm-up, Ghanaians can be very hopeful that the next game against Algeria, you're giving off your best and you could win this? And at this point, do you think psychologically the entire team is ready for this game?
Yeah, surely, because at this point, playing against Uganda, our first game, it helped us to look at a lot of mistakes that we did and we work on them and we fix them. And hopefully coming this Wednesday, we can guarantee a successful win.
Before we wrap up the bulletin, I'd like to take you to my Joy Online and get to share with you some of the top stories we have there. So the Multimedia Group files formal complaint against Kennedy Agyapong for threatening Erastus Asare Donko. That's our top story right there. Also, on the website. A Jura probe. I saw Kaka's brother drag him into the bathroom. Resident tells committee. Akufo-Addo apologized to one resident of military brutalities. The multimedia group refused defamatory statement by Kennedy Agyapong, and Rebecca Akufo-Addo refunds 899,097 cedis 84 pesos allowance. Also there on the front, on the page, is Lodina Mahama should refund any allowances paid her from 2009 to date. That's John Boedu. And that'll be it for the bulletin. Up next, we're bringing you PM Express with Aisha Ibrahim. Stay tuned in.